Hello everyone. So, I just woke up. So if I sound a little weird, it's because I'm still waking up. But I wanted to be sure to try to get this video done and out today because I told all of you I would have it ready for you today. And that is the start of the journal workshop. Before we got started on the workshop, I thought I would share with all of you some things that I'll probably be incorporating in the journal. So anyway, yeah, I went to Tuesday morning and I picked up some napkins. My mom kept telling me how much she loved working with these napkins. It was in their clearance section, and so they're already a good price, $4.50, and then I got, I think this was an additional 20% off, so I thought those are pretty. And then I will be putting together the Alice in Wonderland kits. I know I keep saying that, and I have started on them. I need to finish them and get them listed. So I got some of these that I'll probably include in the kit because some of these are really pretty. These are the ones I thought would be really neat with Alice in Wonderland or in the kit. So I got these. I got a few packs of these to go. And I'll probably use this one in Alice in Wonderland too. So I think I like the contrast between the two of those. So I got those. And then these I'll probably use in the workshop that we'll be doing. Those are really pretty. And they kind of tie in with the theme a little bit with the birds and butterflies. I loved this one. Absolutely loved this one. Part of me, I had like two each of these in my cart, and I'm like, who am I kidding? I'll be lucky if I use more than one out of this package. So I might have to throw some in kits or goodie bags or something. But then I got this one, and I'll probably use this one also. And there's lots of pretty ones. So these were all on clearance, these ones here. And these I paid regular price for, but I just thought they were really pretty. And then this I have for the Mermaid Fairy collection, my digital collection, that I will be coming out with hopefully soon. Alright, so I got all of these napkins. And then I got, let's see, oh yes, I got one of these. My mom was telling me about these, and this is the mini guillotine cutter. And I thought this would go nicely on my desk because it's small. And so yeah, I'm excited to use this and see how this works. And then I picked up these books for inspiration. And I loved this one. Now, it was $22.46, and I got it for $3.99. And they had a few of them. And it's just a big, thick book. I was going to sit down, relax, have some coffee, but this week's been a crazy week because I had my pre-orders that I was trying to get shipped out, and I have my new collection that I'm working on for Blue Fern, and I have my own collection that I'm working on, and I have this video workshop that I'm working on, and I have my makeup that I'm working on. I was hoping for help with the makeup, but as soon as things reopen back up, I'll be able to get my family to help me with that again, and But yeah, look, it's just a book filled with all sorts of nice, fun pages to look at. Lots of inspiration in here. So I picked up this one, and then, and see, when I saw this, I thought, this looks like Dina Wakley. And it does have some of her stuff in here. And Mary Beth Shaw and some other mixed media artists. But again, I just thought it'd be good inspiration for, you know, just something to kind of look at. It was a lot cheaper than a magazine. But I thought I might be able to get some ideas for mixed media backgrounds. So yeah, I picked up these books, and then as I was driving to Tuesday morning, there was a sign, a big yellow sign that said Hobby Lobby was open. Oh, I was so excited. I think me and everybody else. I got a few more things from Tuesday morning. So my mom is working on some recipe kits. So I'll hopefully have those soon. She's going to be doing another deluxe kit. These were, I think, 40% off, and it was $3.99. And I just thought they were cute little, it says weekly eats. I just thought that they were kind of cute for a recipe album or journal or something like that. So it says buy this, cook that. Or I might just keep it for myself, for my husband, when he goes to the grocery store and he always forgets something. He's so nice. So I got 2 of those. I don't know, I just thought they were really cute. And then I picked up, there was this weekly organizer, and it was, I can't remember the pink sticker, if it was 40 or 60% off. I think it was 40% off, so 40% off of $5.99. And this is from 2019, but I didn't think it would matter because it's just got sticky notes, memo pad, and a weekly notepad. And well, let's see. I don't know if it has anything that's really dated other than the cover, which I could easily do something with that. So, yeah, see, it's not dated, so that made it really nice. And it's got this little thing, this little, this little envelope thing. Oh, that's kind of neat. Ooh, I think I just pulled it. I don't think I was supposed to do that. But a little glue and it'll be like new. So yeah, I'll have to glue that down. But yeah, that's kind of cool. So I wish they would have had more of those. I looked all throughout the clearance section. They didn't have any more. So I got that. And then now this was 60% off because I think orange for $50. But anyway, it was $1.49. And these, you know, they're just rubber stamps. Even though I have this whole stamping gear thing set up somewhere, but I mainly just like to pull out the stamps, and I thought these would be nice in Alice in Wonderland. It's kind of got that sort of whimsical font or fairy mixed media type background or something like that. So I picked it up because I thought, you know, 75 cents or whatever for 4 stamps is a pretty good deal. And so for those of you who are on a tight budget, you know, check out the clearance section on Tuesday morning. There was another one, look at $2.99, and then I got, I think, 40% off. And it had five stamps in there. So plans are dreams in the making. I mean, these are cute. Today I will. And then take note, love. Best day ever. And, you know, they usually put these as planner stamps, but I think you could use them in a junk journal or any sort of journal, or little tags. You can make cute little tags with them. So I got those. And then, because like I said, I was coming out with mermaid and fairy type collection. So for thinking ahead on some projects I might do and just looking for things, quick things to grab and insert, I picked up these mermaid card sets. I thought they were really pretty. And I thought if I did a kit, these would go really pretty in there. And then this turtle that says, "You were called to be free." I thought those are cute. So I got those. And last but not least, I picked up this Gemini die. It says Dream. I might already have this, but see, it goes in this card, so you can position it so you have this card and you have Dream in the center. And I thought for a journal page or something like that, that would look kind of neat, especially with this whole fairy mermaid theme that I'll be doing. So that was everything that I got at Tuesday morning. I just wanted to share that with all of you. I don't normally do like Tuesday morning hauls. I definitely could because, oh my gosh, I go there a lot. It's just kind of my way of, my little escape to get out and about. So the places I'll head to are usually Hobby Lobby. And the way it's set up where I live, it's you go to Hobby Lobby and then you drive down a little ways and then there's Michael's kind of across, kitty corner across from Hobby Lobby, and then you drive down like another few blocks and then there's Joann's. And then Tuesday morning's out a little further, but you know, like 3 miles from there. So then I'll go to Tuesday morning. I'll just kind of do a little jaunt around the stores. Sometimes I don't get anything. I don't buy anything. I just like to walk around. It's my, you know, rather than like a kid in a candy store type thing, just sit there and gawk at everything. So yeah, that's what I do, and hardly ever do I go to all those stores and not buy anything. Yeah, I usually always come back with something. I like to give my support to a lot of the craft stores and small businesses. I try to give my support as much as I possibly can to other crafters and businesses and so forth. And then Hobby Lobby, I didn't pick up much there, but I did need a few things. They had these agenda pads, and I had some of these that I picked up the last time that I was there. They still had more left, so for $1.74, yeah, and they were $6, I picked up this daily task planner refill pack, but I like to just pull the sheets out and throw them in my journals. Or I might do a planner. I don't know. So I picked up a few packs of those. And this is just me in general, so busy. So I might use this for myself, or I might throw it in with, if I do end up doing a planner kit or something like that, I might throw some in there for a kit. And then they had these, and I mean, $2.24 the price. And I thought that you could just cut these little sections and throw it in a journal. So I got a package of those. They were $8, $2.24. Heck of a deal. You get 40 sheets in there, so you know, there's a good amount, and it's the Happy Planner brand. So I picked up a few packages of those. And then they had these. I thought these were really cute. Have some fun with them. So I picked up a couple of those. Oh, here's another large. I guess I got three of those. And then the other stuff is nothing that you'd probably find that exciting. And I did need some to finish my painting that I've been working on. So I picked up a round 4, a filbert 4. I needed some smaller brushes, and a filbert size 6. And these are great, like if you like to paint faces, these are good brushes, or at least the ones I like to use, because when I start going in and doing all my detail work, these are the two that I really tend to grab the most. And the round I might use if I'm working on eyebrows, lips. I like to use the round for that. So I grabbed some brushes, and I needed some more of these because I gave my student, my one little student, she's so cute, I gave her my set, so I needed to replace mine. And yeah, oh, and I picked up some of their thick body acrylic paint because I wanted to see how these work well. So for $4.50 for a tube this size, I thought, you know, that's a really good price. And I love thick body, especially for mixed media and even just for my painting in general. I wanted some white titanium because that's really what I needed, but they were all out of stock on that, so I just grabbed some unbleached titanium. And yeah, I'll have to see how that works. Alright, so there is my mini haul. Oh, let's see, I got some more of the, I'm buying these antique stamps, and I haven't been buying a ton because I do have a budget that I have to watch, but I saw these and I had to have them. And I really like supporting the Etsy shops. If I'm able to, I just like to show a little support where I can. Sorry I sound so out of it, everyone. I promise I'll wake up here pretty soon. I will. So yeah, look at the packaging. How cool. Ooh, and she gave me some of these. There's an extra one. I'll be using these for sure. I'm going to save those. I'll be using them on something cool. Alrighty. Yeah, this one's the serial number listing, not an invoice. I thought this would be perfect for those ledger papers that I did that video on. I'm just gonna if I can find these and pick these up, like I said, they're hard to find for a good price. I mean, some of these go for 40, 50 bucks a piece, and I just can't do that right now. There's one I really want, and it's like $40, $50. It's, oh, but I can't do that. This one was not too bad. It was very reasonably priced, I thought. I don't remember what I paid for it, but it was not even close to 40 or 50 bucks, I can tell you that. But that's what it looks like stamped out, so yeah, that'll be really nice for some projects or for working in the journal, doing more of those ledger papers. Okay, so I found the other stamps. I thought I would show all of you some more of my antique stamps that I bought. Alright, so let's open this up here. It's got this cute little mustache on there. I know a lot of these Etsy shops that I purchased from, it seems like a lot of the sellers always have really cute packaging, or it's always packaged nicely. Oh, these were the ones that I have been waiting for. Oh my goodness. This one is already way bigger than I thought it was. Oh gosh, this is so cool. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, I love it. It says the Antique Camera Exchange. Oh, let's see. I have to see what this one looks like. We got to try this one out. So I'm going to put it on this receipt book. And I just get these at the Dollar Tree as well. So yeah, stamp this, and I might use it in the journal that we'll be doing here shortly. Okay, so let's try it in this red color. Go for red. Since I already contaminated the ink with another antique stamp, and I didn't realize it was covered in black ink. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Oh, it's so cool. Look at it. Isn't that cool? Well, I'm flipping it the wrong way. Yeah. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Let's do the yellow one. I'll try to do it so it's not on... Let's do it on the back. Then you can see it better. Oh my god, I love it. Look at that. So cool. Yes. That was much better than I expected. I thought it was going to be a lot smaller stamp. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, and then this one was pretty cool too. Now this one I was expecting to be a small stamp. I just like it. Look at that. I just think it's just cool. Even before you even stamp anything with it, it's just, oh, I love it. So a little price tag thingamajigger. Look at this. Oh, I did it upside down. Whoops. Oh my gosh, I love this. Special price, $1.50. Okay, look at it. Oh, it is so cool. I love it. I love it. So, yes, my two wonderful finds from this Etsy shop. It was from, she didn't put anything inside. I don't have a business card, so I don't know which one I got it from, but if I find it, I'll put it in the description below, the Etsy shop where I purchased these from. Oh, I love them. I just love them. I'm having way too much fun. Okay, I have no idea what's in this one. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. It will be a surprise. Oh, this is nothing really all that exciting. These are my masks for wearing, you know, during the whole coronavirus thing. And I was too lazy to make them, and I had some dust masks that I just had on hand, but they dig into the side of your face. So I ordered some. These actually look pretty nice. I got 3. I think I got 3 for like $20. I don't have time to sew masks. I mean, I thought I could cut one of my bras in half and you know, and use that. That might look a little weird. Might draw a little more attention than what I would like to if I did that. But yeah, these are my 3 masks that I got off of Etsy. And I wanted them, you know, I wanted to be sure that they were made in the USA and soft and cotton-like. And so, yeah, these are pretty nice, but not, I was hoping they'd be more antique stamps, not my masks, but oh well. You guys get to see my mail. So, yeah, this part of the video, just so you know, so you guys don't think, like, the beginning of the video, I sounded half dead. It is now 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'm shooting this afterwards because this came in the mail today. It came after I did all of my video editing, and so I'm inserting this into the part of the video that I did this, well, it would be yesterday morning. Talk about confusing. I've been working on this all day long. But anyway, yeah, I'm inserting it, so that's why I sound much more lively than I did at the beginning. Okay, this might be of interest. Because this, I think, is one of my Anna Griffin dies that I got from HSN. And let me tell you, that came quick. And for all of you who may not know, HSN, and I think it's the first Tuesday of each month, does a whole day filled with craft day. I think it's the first Tuesday of every month. Anyway, they just had one. And I ordered this only a few days ago and it already got here, which I'm surprised because my other mail has taken forever for me to get. Some of my FedEx shipments took 3 to 4 weeks to receive. So yeah, I was pretty surprised that I got this already. Yep, it is HSN. And well, this is different packaging. Normally, it comes in a cardboard type package. Oh, look. This is different. Huh. Okay. Yeah, this wasn't from Craft Day. This was because I got a $10 coupon from HSN and I had to spend it because it was just 10 off of 10. So I decided to get this pop-up die set. I thought it would be fun to create some sort of journal page with this. Oh, it's Stephanie Barnard. Do you guys know, I went to Creativation and I took one of her classes, I think it was like 3 years ago, and I found out that she is from Helena, Montana. And do you know who else is from Helena, Montana? My little buddy Gail. She's from Helena, and I'm from Montana originally. A Bozeman gal. Yep, Butte, Bozeman. I lived in Bozeman before I moved to Washington, and I moved from Washington to here in Arizona, but I go back up to Montana normally every month to plan things with my mom, but because of coronavirus, I haven't been there since Christmas. Yeah, this is the longest I've been away from my family. So hopefully I'll get to see him soon. But there is my mail, everyone. there's everything that I have to show for my little show and tell portion. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I'd be more than happy to do more videos on show and tell stuff. Just let me know. And I do plan on doing a project with this. I adore Stephanie. She is, oh, she's the sweetest lady. But yeah, I'll have to see how this works. We'll do a little fun project with this after maybe we get done with the journal workshop. But let's go ahead and let's get started in making a journal. Okay, so that was my little show and tell. I took a little break to wake up a little bit. If you didn't get a kit, it's fine because whatever I'll be showing you, you could do with printables, you could do with papers that you might have from your stash, and just follow the technique. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly the way that I do it, but what I did do is I used collections from my Parisian Charm and Winged Elements digital collections. So those were the collections that I ended up using together, because the two kits that were sent out, I think one of them had the Winged Elements and the other had the Parisian Charm, so I wanted to incorporate both of those collections. Alright, so I went ahead and I printed everything out, and I got everything ready. So I thought in starting, what I would have you all do is get the main components of your journal put together, and then in part 2 we could go into assembling things, and in part 3 go into the decorating and embellishing and all of that. So these are again, everything that I got ready in making the journal, I cut everything out. These are the envelopes from the Parisian charm collection. So I got those all ready to go. As you can see, you get a lot of cards and ephemera within those collections. So yeah, I just sat, turned on a movie, and did some fussy cutting. I didn't even use my brother Scan and Cut. I got all of this ready to go so I could just, yeah, have it there ready for me when I got ready to incorporate this into my journal. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is take a 12 by 12 inch piece of cardstock, and you want to make sure that it has somewhat of a simple design. And you're going to cut it at 11 inches width by 8.5 inches in height. So again, 11 inches width by 8.5 inches in height. You want to make sure that you keep your scraps because we'll be using those later. The next thing you're going to do is you want to get out your scoreboard, and you're going to be making a score line where you have your 8.5 inch side of paper going up towards the top of your scoreboard, as I show here. So the 8.5 inch side is at the top of your scoreboard, and you're going to score down at 4 1/4 inch. And then after you make that first score line mark, you're going to rotate your paper 1/4 of the way to the left, and you're going to make another score line mark, this time at the 5.5 inch mark. So at the 5.5 inch mark, you'll make your score line. And then you're going to want to take and fold and burnish those edges where you made your score line marks. So you'll burnish at that 5.5 inch score line mark, and then at that first 4 1/4 inch score line mark. You do want to make sure that you burnish it pretty good, because you'll see here with the next step, you're going to have to make some folds. And I'm working with some heavier cardstock. So what you might want to do, and what I did, I'll show you here in a little bit, is before proceeding with the next steps and making sure I don't ruin my nice cardstock here, I did it first on a piece of copy paper or standard printer paper, and I made a template that I could go from just to ensure that I did it properly with my nice cardstock. So here is the template that I made, and you can see the folds that we're going to be doing as the next step. And the easiest way I could think to explain this to all of you, because sometimes it's hard to explain how to do this, is I took and I separated everything into these quadrants. So you can see I have 4 quadrants, and one's going to be the top right, top left, bottom right, and then bottom left. Okay, so you have top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. Okay, now I'm going to mark where my score lines are so you can see this better. So you have your 2 score lines. You have your one going down vertically, and then you have your one going across horizontally. Now what you're going to do next is you're going to take where you have your top left corner, and you're going to take and fold that so that top edge of your corner meets up, almost meets up with your vertical scoreline mark. So again, you don't want it to be directly on your scoreline mark. You want it about 1/16 of an inch away from that. And you know, if you're off a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. You just don't want it directly on that score line. You want it just a little ways from that. And then you're going to take a ruler at your bottom left quadrant there, and you're going to go 1/2 inch out from your vertical score line and make a mark like I just did. So that's that mark that you see. And I'm going to take my bottom left corner and bring it up to that mark. So that edge there from my bottom left corner will line up with that mark. Then you're going to take and flip your paper to the left. Very important. Flip your paper so it goes to the left and not the right. You want to take and flip it over to the left. And this is going to be your bottom back left quadrant. Now from this vertical score line, you're going to go out 1 inch. So you're moving 1/2 of an inch away from that score line with each fold that you're doing. And again, this was the easiest way I could think to come up with in showing all of you how to do this. Okay, after you do that, take your paper, again, flip it back, going to the left, fold up, then fold to the right, and you now have your pockets created for what is going to be part of the front cover of your journal. And again, I think it's really important to try this first on standard print paper. I hope you can see why I did it this way now rather than having you just go full board and do this with your cardstock. I think having the template will really help you. So when you do try to do this with your cardboard, you at least have your template to go from when you're doing this part of the journal. So now I'm just going to do the same thing that I just showed you with my cardstock and make my folds. So again, I'm starting at that top left quadrant there, and I'm going to make my first fold so that edge almost touches the vertical score line going down. And it's about 1/16 of an inch, I would say, from that score line. And then I'm going to go to my bottom left quadrant, and I'm going to go out 1/2 inch from that vertical score line, make a mark with my ruler, and fold my bottom left corner up to that mark that I made there with my ruler. And it is helpful to use your bone folder when making your folds, especially if you're using a thicker cardstock. You do want to make sure you have it folded and burnished down really good. And then you're going to take your paper and flip it going to the left. And here you see I'm just checking everything to make sure it looks good. So again, you're going to take your paper, flip it to the left, and at that bottom, the back bottom left quadrant, this time you're going to go 1 inch from that vertical score line and make a mark, and then fold up to where you made your mark. And then you're just going to take your bone folder and burnish that fold there. And that's it. Then flip your page back over, and then you're going to take and fold your page up. And then you're going to fold it over. And there you have your pockets. So we're going to be placing our little tags and pieces of ephemera in those little pockets. Now to secure that, we're going to just place a little dot of glue right at the bottom edge of each pocket. And that's pretty much it. I thought showing you how to do it this way would be the easiest way. And then again, you'd have a template. So if you wanted to go back and create this at a later time, you have that template there that you can go back and refer to. So I hope you all understood this part of it. I think this is probably the most difficult, other than the cover maybe, of what we'll be doing with this journal. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, the next component within our journal, is we're going to create two tags, two larger tags. And I'm taking some parchment paper. I purchased this at Hobby Lobby, and it's the 8.5 by 11 sized paper, but we want to cut it down to 8.5 inches width by 8 inches high. So all you really have to do is make the one cut on the width at the 8 inches for your height, and then you would already have the 8.5 inches for your width. Okay, and then after you make that one cut, you want to take your scoreboard and you're going to make a score line at the 4 1/4 inch mark. So you're going to have your 8.5 inch side up at the top of your scoreboard, and you're just going to go down halfway at that 4 1/4 inch mark. So it's just easy to fold it in half is all you're doing. Okay, and then after you have your paper folded, you're going to take your ruler and you're going to make a mark about 3/4 of an inch on the left and right side. From the mark that you make on the top of your paper there, you're going to go at a diagonal slant about 2 inches. And this doesn't have to be exact. I kind of eyeballed it a little bit. I just used the ruler to have it so everything would look as centered as possible. And then you're just simply going to cut where you drew your lines to make some miter cuts. So it looks like a tag. Again, pretty simple. And as I stated, this first part of this journal workshop that I'm doing, it's just going to be building those main components. And so everything's pretty basic right now. There's not going to be a lot of decorating yet or embellishing. That will come soon after we get everything, all these components that we're going to put in our journal. After we get all of those made, then, the fun really comes. But I just thought it would be best to get some of the basic things done first and then, move on to the embellishing and decorating and all that wonderful fun stuff. So you're going to make 2 of these tags. Okay, so now we're going to work on our foundation pages. And these are going to be what holds our main signatures together. So I just picked 5 sheets. I wasn't trying to be too picky about what cardstock I was going to use because I probably will end up covering a lot of it, but I just kind of, grabbed plainer, simpler patterned papers. And so for the first 3 foundation pages, you're going to cut your 12 by 12 cardstock at, at the 11 inches width by 8.5 inches height. So you're just going to cut 3 sheets of cardstock at the 11 inches width by 8.5 inches height. Now, one thing to keep in mind, as I'm going to show you here, is if you're using cardstock that has imagery on it that you want to be facing a certain way so it's not upside down, then you want to make sure that you have your cardstock positioned properly. Like my lady, she's going to be on the right side there. So I wanted to make sure that I cut my cardstock properly so my lady would be, going the right direction. Because there's been many times that I didn't pay attention and I'm looking at the other side and I realize I have something upside down. So yeah, just one thing I thought I would mention. And I'm just going to continue to cut my other two pieces. Again, there you see me checking the other side to make sure, you know, that I have everything going in the right direction there, because with this particular piece of cardstock, I had letters on the other side. And as far as having double-sided cardstock versus single-sided cardstock, I guess that kind of depends on what you want the other side of your signature to be like. If you think that you're going to be covering up a lot of it, then it really doesn't matter if you choose to use single-sided cardstock. If you're going to be putting pockets down and things like that, again, single-sided cardstock will probably work. If you don't have double-sided cardstock and all you have is single-sided cardstock and a lot of that white on the other side is going to be shown, then you can always take a stencil and you could use distress oxides to create a pattern over that white cardstock. And I have other videos that show what you can do with that white blank space on your cardstock. So you could check some of those out. Okay, so I have my 3 sheets of cardstock cut at the 11 inches width by 8.5 inches height. And now we're going to do the 2 other foundation pages. And we're just going to do something a little different with these other 2. So with your 4th piece of cardstock, you're going to want to cut it to 12 inches width. So you, again, will only be making 1 cut. And then you're going to make a cut at 8.5 inches height. So that 1 cut, you're going to just take and turn so it'll be at the 8.5 inches height. And again, if you have imagery or some sort of pattern that has to be a certain direction on your paper, it's something you're going to want to pay attention to. And like I didn't want to cut into that other dragonfly, so I decided to work off the other end of my paper. And I finally get a chance to work with my bird waltz paper. This is the first time I've actually got to play with it. And so for these, I thought I'm probably gonna not cover up too much of these signature pages because, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything where I actually got to use my bird waltz paper. Okay, so for this 5th piece of cardstock, what you're going to do is make 1 cut. So your width is 11 inches, and then your height will be 12 inches. I actually, I should take it back. I did get to play with my bird waltz paper for a little bit at Creativation. So yes, I did get to have a little fun with it then, but not for myself, not for a journal I was making for myself. It was just to do make and take projects that everybody else got to have fun with. But it was all good. That was a fun time. Oh my God, we had so much fun. I had people creating on the floor and it was crazy, but it was so much fun. All right, so we have our 1 piece of cardstock, our 4th piece, where we made the 1 cut. So it was 12 inches width by 8.5 inches height. And then our 5th piece of cardstock, we made the 1 cut. So it was 11 inches width by 12 inches in height. The next thing that you're going to do, so you're going to go back to that 4th piece of cardstock. So the one that's going to measure at the 12 inches width by 8.5 inches height. So you're going to take your 12-inch side and make sure that that is at the top of your scoreboard there. And then you're going to make a score line mark at 1/2 of an inch, 1/2, yeah, 1/2, half of an inch. You're going to go a 1/2 inch score line mark on the right side and a 1/2 inch scoreline mark on the left side. Very easy, easy breezy. Okay, now after you have your score lines made, you're going to take some of that 8.5 inch by 11, did I say that right? I'm getting messed up with my measurements here. The 8.5 by 11 inch, yeah, parchment paper. It doesn't have to be parchment paper. It could be black paper, it could be white paper. It's just to create a gatefold on that signature page on that piece of cardstock. And so what I'm doing here is I just want to cut each piece to where the measurements are 5 inches width by 8.5 inches in height. And then after you make your cuts, you're going to attach your pieces of parchment paper or whatever paper you chose to use, and you're going to attach them to the hinges on your piece of cardstock, and this will create your gatefold signature page. Again, it's very simple, but it's nice to work off of something where you have these hinges and you can build pockets and you can really build up that foundation page if you have these hinges. It gives you extra room or extra space to create from. And then after, right now I'm just burnishing down those folds really good. And then I'm just going to take some glue and attach my parchment to my cardstock there. Again, very, very simple. And you do want to make sure you have it lined up properly. So that is one thing to make sure when you are gluing it down that you have that edge lined up perfectly with your score line. And that's why I burnished those folds so well, is to make sure, that I did have a nice crease there and I would be able to line everything up perfectly. And the other thing I did is I did use my brayer just to make sure that I had that glue spread. Especially when you're working with something that has a hinge and you have that edge there, you want to make sure that everything's glued down really nicely. So it does help to take your brayer and go over it. And then I'm just doing the same on the other side. Just want to make sure again that those edges are glued down and that as you build things, it's not going to catch on anything or come apart. Now, I realized when I cut my paper, and you have to realize I did this at probably like 2 or 3 in the morning, so yeah, I was a little bug-eyed. I did this at 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I woke up I think around 8:30, which is why I sounded half dead in the beginning of this video. I was in a half comatose state. But anyway, I'm gonna have to go back and cut those flaps down because the measurements, I think I did it at 5 when I did those cuts. Instead of 5 inches, I think I did them at 5.5 inches. So I have 1/2 inch more on those flaps than what I should. So I will have to go back and correct that. Now on the 5th foundation page, you're going to take where you have the 11-inch side, that's supposed to be up at the top, and you're going to score down the middle at 5.5 inches. And then you're going to take your paper and rotate it once to the left, and you're going to make another score line mark at 8.5 inches. Okay, and then after you do that, you're going to take and you're going to cut from the bottom of your paper about 1/2 inches from the fold, a tapered diagonal line to the 8.5 inch fold mark. So this is where you see me taking the ruler and I'm going in about 1/2 inch from the bottom there, and then taking my ruler and putting it at an angle to the fold and creating my angled mark there. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and cut where I made my line. And now I have where I can fold up those flaps to create a folder signature page. So you can see we have 3 main signature pages, then we have our gatefold signature page, and we have our folder signature page. And those will be our 5 foundation pages that we're going to work from in building our signatures, our 5 signatures. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, I believe in some of the kits, my mom included some craft paper. And the journal that I'm working in building is one that my mom came up with. And she created this insert, which is what we're working on. It's an envelope insert, and she used some Hobby Lobby paper that was 12 inches by 18 inches. And so I'm going to have to build this paper up to get to those dimensions of 12 inches by 18 inches from 11.5 or 8.5 by 11 inch paper. So I'm taking 3 pieces of this craft paper and I'm just gluing each edge, and I'm going to put 3 of them together and then cut it down to where it's 18 inches. And so I'm just going to take, after I have these all glued together and lined up, you want to make sure you line them up really nicely, and I'm going to cut it down to the 18 inches. And then I am going to have to place a strip at the top to make it 12 inches because I was only able to get it up to the 11 inches in height. And as far as being able to see where I have glued everything together, I'm not too concerned about it because I plan on using lace and trims to decorate, or use some sort of maybe more paper ephemera or something to decorate this envelope later on, in the process. So for looks, it doesn't look great, but you'll see it as it'll come together. And with a lot of journals that I do, it starts out this way where it doesn't look really pretty when you start off, but the finished product, I try to have it to where, it's kind of that wow factor. Okay, and here is where I measured it to know, where I need to cut it. So it is 18 inches in width. And then that extra section there, I'm going to take that and I'm going to cut 1.5 inch strips, or you could do 1.25 inch strips. You just want to make sure you leave some room so you can glue that piece to that section of paper to make it so it's 12 inches in height, because currently it's 11 inches in height and we need it to be 12. Now, to make sure that I'm lining everything up, I'm just taking my ruler and making little marks so I know how far to place that strip down onto my paper to make sure it's at 12 inches. And you'll see how I do that. I know when I explain things, it's really hard to probably understand what I'm doing. Now, it looks like when I cut those strips, I cut them at 1.25 inch. So I'm just taking and going about 1/4 inch down and making those marks. And then I'm going to place some glue at the top, and I'll have those marks to use as a reference of where I'm going to take the bottom edge of my strip and line it up with those marks that I made on my 18 inch piece of paper there. And I'll see if I can find, I know that my mom, when she had this paper from Hobby Lobby, she was able to find some on Amazon. I'll see if I can find that and put, if I can, I'll put the information down below where you can get the 12 inches by 18 inches paper, so you don't have to build it up like what I'm doing here. But she did say it was hard to find, so, and I know most of us don't carry paper that's 12 inches by 18 inches. I mean, you could take cardstock that's the 12 inches already and just add another piece of cardstock. But the problem with that, if you are going to do that, you know, you want to make sure it's not a heavy cardstock. Actually, it'd be better to use 12-inch paper because you're going to have to fold it. And if it's cardstock, the way in which we have to fold it, it might be difficult to do. But I plan on decorating this envelope, so I didn't want it to be, you know, really thick paper to start off with anyway. And it didn't have to be decorative paper because I want to have fun in being able to decorate this envelope. So I'm just using plain old craft paper. Now you could use copy paper or printer paper in place of this craft paper. You could use newspaper. You could use wrapping paper. Yeah, there's lots of other things that you could use. I wanted this to be more of like a junk journal than a journal, or maybe a hybrid of a junk journal / journal, because as you know, the style, I really like the vintage, maybe with a little bit of shabby chic flair to it. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm visualizing. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do is where you have your 8.5 inch edge, you're going to make sure that's at the top of the scoreboard, and you're going to score down 4 inches. So down that 18-inch side, you're going to score down 4 inches. So I had to flip the paper in order to get that score line to go all the way down, because it was hard. You know, my scoreboard's only 12 inches, so I had to take and score it down halfway and then flip it and score it down the other half. And then I'm just going to take and burnish that, and then I'm going to take and along the 18-inch side, making sure that's up at the top of the scoreboard, I'm going to make 2 more score lines, one at 5 inches and one at 10 inches. And then I'm going to want to turn my paper over to the other side and make one more scoreline mark at 2 3/4 inch. So this is opposite the side of the 5 and 10 inch scoreline marks that we just did. And now you're going to take your paper and burnish, you know, all those score lines really good. And then we'll start to fold it to make our envelope. And it's kind of shaped like an envelope. It's not really an envelope, it's just shaped like an envelope, but it'll be a page insert in our journal. And it's something that you can do where you can add photos, you could write, you could add all sorts of things. So it's going to be lots of fun when we get to the part of where we can decorate this and have some fun with it. Okay, so what you saw me do is I took that longer side, the 18-inch side, and I folded it over to the score line mark that we made at the 5 inches. And now I'm just taking each side and folding it to the score line to create kind of that top envelope shape there. And that's it. Now we have our envelope page insert for our journal. And again, this will be lots of fun when we get to go in and decorate it and all of that. So just kind of a fun little page insert for our journal. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is super, super easy. And with some of those scraps that we have left over, we're going to make some of our embelly clips. And this is something, concept my mom and I came up with a little while ago, probably 1 or 2 years ago. And so again, super easy to make these, and it's just a great way to use up some of your scraps and something that will also go back and decorate. But what you're going to do is you're going to take and cut your paper to approximately 3.5 inches width, to 4 inches width by 8.5 inches height. So if you have a scrap piece and let's say it's 4 inches by 8 inches, that's fine. It doesn't have to be exact, just so it's around those measurements. And you're going to cut 4 pieces at that size. So 3.5 inches width by 8.5 inches height. And again, it can be off a little bit. It's not a problem. You just want to make sure that you cut all of your pieces the same size. And so I'm just looking through my scraps here, trying to see what I can use up. And after I do cut my 4 pieces, then I take my chomper and I round off the corners. Now, if you don't have a chomper, you can just use your scissors and round your corners off with your scissors. Or, you don't even have to round your corners. You could leave them just as they are, whatever you prefer. But I kind of like the rounded corner look, so I'm just going to do that next. Round my corners, and then after I do that, I'm going to apply a thin strip of glue at the very top and attach my 2 pieces together to create my embelly clip. So I'll have 2 longer embelly clips, and we'll be able to decorate these up really pretty like later on in the next part. So these, again, we'll have lots of fun decorating all this stuff. This is just building everything right now and getting everything ready for all that fun that we're going to have coming up here when we get to the next steps in our journal making process. Okay, on to the next part. Now this part is going to be the back cover part of our journal. It's not the back cover, but it's going to be a part of the back cover. And you have 2 different options here. You can use book paper, or you could use cardstock, or whatever sort of paper you want to use for this step. But you're going to need 5 sheets, and you're going to want to cut them all at 5.5 inches width by 8.5 inches height. So I just had this leftover cardstock. But like I said, you could use book paper. My mom used book paper, so it had the nice text on there. And that gives it a really neat look. Or you could do like I'm doing and use cardstock. You could use music sheet paper. Whatever sort of look you think you might want to go with, you could do that. Now, when you see those birds there, I end up using the other side because it's the way the paper is going to go. The birds would be going the wrong direction. So yeah, this is why you see me using kind of plainer cardstock for this, because a lot of it's going to be covered up, and you'll see what I mean as we get going further down. So again, you could use book paper with text on it, just like from a reading book. Size it to 5.5 by 8.5 inches. All 5 pieces need to be at that 5.5 inches width by 8.5 inches height. And then after you have your 5 pieces cut, again at that 5.5 inches width by 8.5 inches height, you're going to want to get your scoreboard out again. And I'll go ahead and I'll tell you the measurements if you want to write them down. So with the short edge of your paper at the top of your scoreboard, you're going to make 1 score at 1/2 inch On your next piece of paper, you're going to make one score line mark at 1 inch, and then you're going to take your next piece of paper and make that score line at 1.5 inches, and then you're going to take your next piece of paper and score at 2 inches, and then your last sheet of paper, your 5th sheet, you're going to score at the 2.5 inches. So it's a half increment each time. It goes from 1/2 inch to 1 to 1.5 inches to 2 to 2.5 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate it. So you'll see I have the short edge at the top of the scoreboard, and I'm going to make my score at 1/2 inch. And then after I make my score line mark, I'm going to want to take and burnish that fold. Or actually, I'm going to want to fold it and then burnish it. Because you are going to want to make sure on this step that you have those folds, burnished really good. On the next one, you're going to make your score line mark at 1 inches. And same thing, fold it and then burnish it. And then on the next piece of paper, you're going to want to go at 1.5 inches. So score at 1.5 inches. And again, fold and burnish. And then on your next piece of paper, you're going to want to score at 2 inches. And then you'll fold and burnish. And on the last piece, you'll score it at 2.5 inches. Fold it and then burnish it. And then after you have all your pieces folded and burnished, we're going to put them together. Okay, so starting with the one that we first scored at the 1/2 inch, you're going to take that and you're going to scoop it inside the one that you did next, and then scoop that one inside the one that you did next until you have it to where you're placing them all in order. And you can see I have one that's placed in there backwards. So they should all be evenly spaced. And we're going to create pockets again. The front insert, we had those pockets, and then these are each pockets as well. So we're going to have, I believe, 5 pockets when we have it attached to our back cover. And so we're going to eventually want to glue down the sides, but I think we hold off on that for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of decorating. So if you used book text, for example, you're going to see where this makes total sense. It really just doesn't matter what sort of paper you used on this step. I decided to use one of my Winged Elements papers for my digital collection, and I'm going to cut that to size to fit our little pocket insert there. And then after I cut it to size, I have some scrap pieces left over, and I'm going to use those scrap pieces to decorate the top sections of my pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down that piece and attach it to the front section of our pocket insert. And then I'm going to take my little strips that I had left over from when I cut this piece and attach those to the top sections of those other pockets within that insert there. And so I'm just kind of placing everything, making sure my strip is wide enough. And then I'm going to take and glue one of those strips on my top section of the pocket, and then I'm going to skip one and take the other piece, that other scrap piece, and place it on the back section of our pocket insert. And you'll see all of that here shortly. So there's where I'm taking that one additional scrap piece that I have, and again I'm going to glue that down to the top section of that back pocket. And you know, really, for not planning out how I was going to put this together and in selecting the cardstock, I'm actually really liking the gold tones with that pink. I don't know why. Gold usually isn't, well, I should take that back. I like gold. I'm not so much a fan of orange. You will all hear me say that a lot. Orange is just, I like copper. I love copper. But orange, I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea, I guess you could say. I like peach, you know, like peachy pink. But orange, just orange, yeah, no. So I'm liking the way this is coming along as far as the color combinations I have going on here so far. And then, yeah, after this, that's it, pretty much. We will have our pocket insert built, and then we'll glue it and everything later because we need our back cover done in order to attach this to it. So we really don't want to glue anything down at this point. Okay, and so one other thing that I'm going to finish off with in our little journal making, well, I shouldn't say little, this is actually a big workshop. And, you know, this is one that my mom put together and had people pay to attend. And so I'm providing you with a similar workshop. It's not exact, but it's the same quality. You know, I'm spending a lot of time going, and I'm going to put together instructions that I will provide, and you can pay for a small fee, you know, purchase the instructions of this workshop. And I hope to have those after I complete this workshop series, this video workshop series, and I'll have the information listed below on where you can purchase the instructions. So the next step that I'm doing is I'm just going to pick some pages that I printed out from my Winged Elements collection and my Parisian Charm digital collections. And I'm just showing you a little preview here of what I printed out. But I'll probably want to pick around 10, between 10 and 15 designs. It depends on how big you want your signature pages and, you know, how bulky you want them. So not really sure at this point, because I plan on decorating and adding envelopes and pockets and all sorts of things. But I figured it wouldn't hurt to have, you know, anywhere from 10 to 15 pages cut, where I cut off the white borders and ready to go for when we get to the point of where we're going to start assembling everything that we have done so far. Okay, so after I have all the white borders cut off of my papers, I am just going to take and fold them all in half. And you can see which papers I selected in case you want to do the same ones that I do. I did tend to pick a lot of the lined papers. I figured that a lot of these, you know, I wanted the room where you could do, where, you know, you'd have journaling space. But then I like also where on the back side I have all this white blank space, and those are the papers where I like to go in and decorate. Just kind of have some fun, whether it's stamping or creating a mixed media sort of, you know, like background, or adding in flaps, and, you know, it's just, that's where I really like to have fun. So when you are building your signature pages and you're going to figure out which pages you want to put in them, I always try to pick some, such as my printables, that have blank spaces on the other side. You could do tea-stained papers if you wanted. Let's say you don't have any printables or you don't have a printer. So there's other things that you can do. And working with tea-stained papers, even working with blank copy paper, you can create some beautiful papers, using stamps. And I do have some videos where I did take some blank paper. I only used stamps and I think little bits of tulle and things like that to create a paper that looked like fabric. And that was a really fun project. I might go back and actually do that again, kind of revisit what I did in that video and do that with some of these papers. I think that would be a lot of fun and, maybe kind of change the theme a little bit. I did kind of a Jane Austen type theme. So for this one, I might do something more, I don't know, with birds maybe, or butterflies. We'll see. Okay, so I wasn't counting, so I didn't see how many pages I did, but the good thing about this video is you can always go back and rewind it and count to see how many pages I did. And who's to say I might add some? I may not use all of these pages. I just thought I would have some ready because it's always nice to have the things that you need when you're building your signature pages. Okay, so we are on the last part of today's journal making series, and we're going to end with making our parchment paper bags. Now, the parchment paper you can get at the Dollar Tree. I am using parchment paper that I got from Uline. I have a ton of it. This has lasted me a long time, and I use this parchment paper for palette paper. I use it just to protect my desk so I don't get ink everywhere. And yeah, it's come in handy for a lot of different things. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is kind of create a tube, I guess you could say. So I take and I make one fold at about 5 inches. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 inches, just approximately, 5-6 inches. And then I'm going to take and fold over the other side, as you see me do there. And then I'm just going to take and apply a strip of glue to create my paper tube. And then I'll take the bottom and fold the bottom up and miter each side so it looks like an actual, paper bag. Now, when I go to make my miter cuts, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm, not doing anything really precise. I mean, I would say I'm going in about 1/4 of an inch and then angling it up to the fold line there. And that's all I did, is I just made my 2 little cuts, and I'm just going to glue everything down. So I have the 3 layers. You could cut off some of those layers. I just ended up gluing them all down. It's up to you. You could take and cut off those 2 inner layers there. And I'll show you here better what I mean. So you could cut those 2 layers off and just have the 1 layer and glue that down. But I was being lazy. I took and I just glued those 3 layers together. And I kind of liked the thought of it being nice and durable, so I didn't cut off those extra layers. Okay, so I have everything glued down, and now I'm going to take some of my decorative edged scissors and cut off some of the top section there. And the decorative edge scissors, I chose kind of a serrated type edge scissor, and I really didn't know how high I wanted my bag to go. I'm just kind of thinking, am I going to be folding it? Am I going to leave it as it is? So I just kind of eyeballed it. I didn't want to cut it down too much because you can always go back and cut it down later if you want it shorter. So I just kind of thought, I would just cut off a little bit. And then that's it. That's all there is to it. And we have our paper parchment bag. So I hope you all enjoyed the first part of this journal making series. I hope that you will leave me comments on your thoughts, and if you're enjoying it, if you're actually working along with me, I would love to hear if you are. And so yes, please be sure to let me know, leave your comments. I hope you had fun, and it's going to be even more fun when we come back and start decorating everything and assembling everything and really start putting it together, and you start seeing this beautiful journal being made through this journey, through this process. So thank you everyone so much, and also let me know what you think of the show and tells. Do you want me to do Tuesday morning hauls? Because like I said, I can definitely do them. I shop there very frequently, so I can do more show and tells. If you find those interesting, I'd be more than happy to. I love sharing things with all of you, so let me know on that as well. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have fun creating, and we'll catch you back with part 2.